lifestyle radio station.
A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. We come to you live from our studios here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country, also live on all our social media platforms on Facebook and on X. This afternoon, government is allaying fears of citizens of any impending power crisis as it procures 450,000 barrels of light crude oil for any electricity generating plants. Also this afternoon, Ghana Immigration Service undertakes special operation to arrest undocumented migrants in the country. Plus, the Office of the Special Prosecutor sets June 2 to interrogate former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. We have details of these and many more stories coming up shortly. Please do stick and stay. My name is Judith Brown. Welcome to the bulletin. We start from here. Government is this afternoon allaying fears of citizens of any impending power crisis. Now, this assurance comes barely a day after the Minister for Energy and Green Transitions revealed the nation only has less than 3 days stock of fuel available to power plants in the country. Now, the revelation, coupled with recent erratic power supply, have sparked concerns about the imminent crisis, with citizens urging government to find a lasting solution. Our Central Regional Correspondent Thomas Khan has been speaking to residents of Cape Coast and joins me live with more details on this. Thomas, you have engaged some residents. What have they been saying?
Actually, the residents are really frustrated about this whole announcement. For them, they said it's been long overdue as a nation, this power crisis resolved. For them, they think that government needs to do something to find a lasting solution to it. Some of them are even frustrated that government come, government go. The problem still persists, and they want a very ultimate this issue. For some of them who depend largely on electricity for businesses, for instance, those who operate coal stores and those who are into dressmaking and other businesses, they are really disappointed with this kind of announcement, and they fear that this can also affect their finances, and they want government to do something about it. I've been speaking to some of them who have been sharing their frustration with me. We can take a listen to some of them.
Well, we'll hear from them quite shortly. But of course, we've been speaking to Thomas Khan. He's a Central Regional Correspondent, and he's bringing us details really of the power situation in the Cape Coast there in the Central Region. Let's take a listen.
Anything is from in there to China, you light be 1 month ago. I mean, I am because you use light in you. My man could see hairdressers like one who use light when you're home. I mean, I am all also in the yet to light. Obi Bane, Drummond, and every day yet to light into the reason why in China. I don't do my like giving a light out to the stand there. Over off 1 month and I'll be with them. I'm on the obey me your father using your light on it. I didn't say there was a light, every channel for a light. I just said 1 month's time. No, yes, let me show you. Now, the time yet to a light. It's a dancing or a day. Light in here. As this after never been to it yet once because of my young tickets over my Yawaji and Nazi. Then in our nature, the Yerba Bravo light, some morning you might be mad and didn't try it. It's a very unfair, no young boy. You know, it turns out you do a Nazi. Lights, yeah, and it's a what day, light me to use the massage. I have to show you. Yeah, it's not very much. But if you are doing it, you're very busy and as I was saying, into you, France, one wine about I am.
Right, you had there some residents in Cape Coast speaking to correspondent Thomas Khan on the issue of power crisis. But of course, we're going to stay on this particular subject because the head of communication at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Richmond Roxon, says 450,000 barrels of fuel are expected in the country in the next 48 hours as a measure to avert power crisis.
The update now is that we had made provision for an import. We're expecting it between today and tomorrow. We're expecting 450,000 barrels of light crude oil, and with that, definitely any dooms or the people's fears that we're going to sleep in darkness definitely will be averted. So that is the update for that. On the financing side, that's the bigger picture. There's no dedicated fund for fuels. Ordinarily, when you're selling a product, what should have happened is that once ECG Act procures electricity and sells, you should be able to at least get full cost recovery. That is not what we are experiencing. So consistently, the government of Ghana has to take steps to find money, wherever it will find money, to ensure that these fuels are procured. These are structural issues that the Ministries of Finance, the Energy Ministry has put before Cabinet to ensure that we take a second look at the tariff structure to ensure that these challenges do not continue. The sector is saddled with so much debt, and if steps are not taken for reforms, what will happen is that if we are not careful at a point, the sector may collapse, and that is what the ministry is committed to doing. Cabinet has approved that certain institutions described as critical or strategic institutions will not be on prepayment. They will be on post-payment. These five will be Interior, Defense, Office of the President, Health and Education. And even with that, it's not blanket. It's not that any institution found under that or any personnel under that who lives in a government bungalow is not going to pay electricity. No. Once we see an improvement in collection, we'll see the ripple effects in the sector. Because you can't have a shortfall of 2 billion every month. It doesn't work anywhere. There's no way it will work. If you have a 2 billion difference, averagely you're looking at 24 billion a year. If you add incidental costs, you're looking at about 30 billion. No business in the world can be sustainable through this. And that is why all these structural reforms are being dealt with, including a review of the tariffs by Cabinet.
Well, you heard that the head of communication at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Richmond Roxon. We're going to do some more stories now. The Office of the Special Prosecutor says it will be interrogating former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta on 2nd June 2025. Now, the former minister has for months been unavailable despite being declared wanted on multiple occasions, with his lawyers insisting he is receiving treatment. Now, Director of Strategy, Research and Communication at the OSP, Sami Dako, says he has been providing an update on this matter, and he's been speaking to us.
If you remember, when we declared Mr. Ofori-Atta wanted and we were about to upgrade it to put him on Interpol Red Alert, he did, through his lawyers, come back to us and give us this time a definitive date within which he will return to the jurisdiction and then appear before the OSP. Subsequent to that, he did indicate the time that he will come to Ghana. I don't particularly remember, but it was either between 14 to about 28 or 24 May, for which he will come. The SP graciously did say he will add a bit more time to him, and so the office agreed for him to appear before the office on the 2nd of June. So everything being equal, we are expecting Mr. Ofori-Atta to appear before the OSP on the 2nd of June. I noticed that a lot of people have been putting up messages that the OSP is not doing anything about it because it was May. I think that May timeline was put in the public domain by the minority leader, if I recall. But for as long as we are concerned, Mr. Ofori-Atta is to appear before us on the 2nd of June.
Now let's do some more stories now. And thousands of undocumented migrants have been picked up from major street intersections in Accra in the latest move by the Ghana Immigration Service to evacuate them back to their countries. I was at the Obechebi Lamte intersection earlier this morning, and here's a report.
Well, we just saw a car from the Ghana Immigration Service. You could see a number of immigrants descending from this particular car. This is part of efforts to prevent shootism along the streets of Accra and prevent these immigrants and foreigners from being exploited. That's according to the Ghana Immigration Service. And so you can see a number of them seated. They have been picked up from all walks of the city and brought to the center where they're going to be picked up by several buses and sent to the Ghana Immigration Service headquarters. From there, they would be processed and sent back to their country. Just so you know, most of these individuals seated here, in fact, all of them are foreigners or immigrants coming from other countries in search of work in the capital city of Accra. But they come here and most of them are being exploited, most of them begging for arms, which is one thing we see on a daily basis on all the streets and the roads of Accra. And so, in order to prevent streetism, as they have clearly stated, that's the Ghana Immigration Service, they are picking up these immigrants from different parts of the city and bringing them to this very spot, that's Obeche Bilamte. The Immigration Service tell me that they've been able to pick up over 1,000 of these immigrants and send them already to the immigration headquarters. And so these are the new numbers coming in. We're yet to hear really the number of immigrants that have been picked up so far and the number that will be picked up by the end of the day. But of course, as has already been stated, the Immigration Service is trying to ensure that these people are not exploited, are not sleeping in the streets, because as you can see, they have no home, they have no place to stay. Most of them are sleeping on the streets of Accra, and they're being picked up and sent back to their countries.
It's good for the government to decide this, and also it will help to reduce the population. And the best neatness about on my anymore.
Someone brought them against their will, so the service should rather locate those who brought them. In Zongos, there are some allergies who brought the migrants every morning and exploit them.
They should go. They are lazy and mess up the city. What the government is doing is good because they can be harmed on the streets and they cause overcrowding.
Well, we are now listening to the head of public affairs at the Ghana Immigration Service, Mike Amwako Atta. He has been speaking to us on this very issue.
This early morning, the Comptroller General of the Ghana Immigration Service gave a directive for an operation to be launched to rid the streets of the national capital of foreign beggars who have taken over our streets. And this is based on intel we've gathered over the period, where especially some criminal elements have organized networks and using these children, and even behind that, engaging in human trafficking and other trans-border crimes, and which we think is against national security and public safety. So we've started to pick them up, profile them, and then remove them from the jurisdiction. So as we speak currently, we've been able to pick about 2,241 foreign nationals, and they are being profiled. First, the GIS clinic is attending to them, and then the ops team undertakes the profiling. And then after that, we bus them to their various destinations.
How does this recent operation of the over 2,000 children you are talking about align with Ghana's obligation under the ECOWAS protocol on free movement and residence within the ECOWAS member states?
So this number is not just over 2,000 children, but it is made up of 384 male adults and then 577 male children Then we have 525 female adults, and then 755 female children. So that is the current breakdown of the numbers that we have so far removed from the streets and are in our holding centers now. And
I want to find out what procedures are in place to differentiate between irregular migrants and the legally resident ECOWAS citizens who may also have found themselves on the street.
Yeah, so that is what we are doing after their medical screening and all that. Then we look at their documentations as to how they enter the country and whether they are legal or illegal migrants. If you are an illegal migrant, definitely we will remove you from the jurisdiction.
Finally, I want to find out, given Ghana's commitment to the African Union's Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, how is the Immigration Service coordinating with child protection agencies to ensure the rights of these vulnerable minors are upheld during and after the operation?
Yes, so for this operation, one of our core values as an institution is respect for human rights. So we are making sure that each child picked up is with the parents or an adult sibling. After the medical screening, the next profiling is going to ensure that for each child, we can identify the parent before the next line of action. So we are not going to remove children who are unaccompanied or who are not with their parents. For that, we are very sure of that.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Well, you're still listening to the Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. We're going to go for a short break. When we're back, we have more news for you. Do stay.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bill's Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bill's offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Freezer, yeah, diaba. Adama for diaba, a freezer. Adama, a Quafosementia. Adama, Metamosua, my sorry. Canino, Obo Moasia. I do for Nobium Unumi and San last night. I don't know what we did. Adama for Adama, we say. Yeah, the Adruba Cope, a ship will be a high technology. I go for freezer. When Kwan, and once open your 15 letters. No Fiogum, what ya no Fiogum. What the boss here, if we be any of us, you, equity self, over Timono. Then we sure say, woman shown task here. No matter enough for now, freezer, power and up a day, freezer. Dacia, a basson do so among Amoniaji. To me, me was sick, to me, but you may not do a some doom. Adama, with that Adama, no queer. Adama, you can't resist.
Ubenya Adama West Africa for a dream or baby bear a tongue cry on you. I say Kayona Kenkai in Choya ever a dream.
Welcome back to the Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. Let's do some health now. And contact tracing is currently ongoing as Ghana confirms 2 new cases of Mpox in the Greater Accra or Accra Metro of the Greater Accra region. Now, the 2 are males, non-related, who had both gone to the hospital for treatment. All regional health directors have been directed to reactivate their public health emergency operations centers and take steps to improve surveillance, risk communication, and case management activities. Deputy Director in charge of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Dennis Lyer, is entreating the general public to practice proper personal hygiene to protect themselves from the infection.
For us in public health, I think that any disease outbreak is a source of concern. We would prefer that we don't have an outbreak at all. And even if it happens, it should be minimal, such that we are able to curtail it and prevent it from further spread. So to that extent, I would say that, yes, we are concerned. We shouldn't be having outbreaks. But on the other side, and not to say that others have their situation worse than ours, but we've had quite a number of countries within the African region, even our sister countries within the West African sub-region are reporting quite a number of cases, in excess of 1,000. And so if you look at that side, you probably say we shouldn't be worried. But the other truth also is that they didn't start with 1,000 cases. They definitely started with one or a few cases. And so on that score, we should be concerned. And I would wish that we all take some seriousness as far as this disease is concerned. I think one of the things we've abandoned as a country, which we did so well during the COVID-19 pandemic, was hand hygiene, the use of hand sanitizers and the availability of hand washing facilities in most places. It's a very effective way of preventing these diseases that can easily spread from person to person.
Now, Cabinet is set to approve priority projects under the Big Push agenda that will include the dualization of the Accra-Kumasi Road, which will make commuters spend only 2.5 hours on the stretch. The President announced this as part of his thank you tour of the Upper West region.
Cabinet will soon approve priority projects under the Big Push infrastructural program. Understandably, a significant number of these priority projects will be in the road sector. These works include the dualization of major highways, including the Accra-Kumasi, Accra-Takrade, Accra-Aflawo roads. It will also tackle major bridges such as the Dambai Bridge, the Chiamanfrom Bridge, rehabilitation of the Bupe Bridge, Daboya Bridge, and Yape bridges. We're also designing a new expressway between Accra and Kumasi, which will reduce the travel time between the two largest cities in Ghana to about 2.5 hours. During the campaign, we traveled on the terrible road network that has become characteristic of the Upper West region. In this region, under the Big Push, we are prioritizing the Wad Tumu Bolgatanga Trunk Road and the Techiman Wenchi Bole Wa Hamile corridor. Sections of the Sola Fufuso Road will also be resurfaced to improve connectivity between the Upper West and the Savannah and Northern regions. These roads will not only enhance trade and transport, but they will also stimulate cross-border business and revive economic activity. Equally, we'll upgrade roads in the Wa East, Nadoli, Dafema Buse, Isa, and Sisala East districts to improve access to markets, schools, and health facilities. My brothers and sisters, work will begin very soon. In a few months, you see contractors on all these roads because the money has been provided in the budget. This year, we set aside 14 billion Ghana cedis for the Big Push. All the contractors will get 15% mobilization to be able to mobilize to site. And he has also assured me that any contractor on the Big Push projects who presents his certificate for payment will be paid within 2 weeks. And so we want to see work continuing as soon as the contract is awarded.
Now, the last batch of Muslim pilgrims embarking on this year's Hajj from the Yakubu Tali Airport in Tamale have departed for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, 7 flights each consisting of more than 400 pilgrims jet off from the Yakubu Tali International Airport from Saturday, May 10 to Thursday, May 15. Officials of the Hajj Task Force believe the process has been smooth and well organized. Let's cross over to Tamale, engage my colleague Christopher Mwako for more on the processes. Chris, 7 flights in 6 days. How has it been for the task force and the pilgrims themselves?
Yes, so it has been successful because all 7 flights that were expected to leave the Yakubu Tale International Airport in Tamale took off successfully, and we are told that they also arrived in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, apart from a few issues that has to do with visas for some of the pilgrims who came and were turned away, all the others had the opportunity of traveling from Tamale to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Some of these issues have to do with the fact that some people actually came there with their passports, but their agents were unable to give them the visas that will enable them to travel to perform this year's Hajj, and so they could not go. But the Hajj task force engaged them and told them that they should wait for next year and go through the processes so that they will be able to be part of next year's Hajj.
Right, and Chris, earlier we had some people did not get visas but came to the Hajj village hoping to go through the process. How are the issues involving these category of people resolved?
Yes, so the Hajj task force actually engaged them with their agents because the problem did not come from the task force, it rather came from their agents, and so they were asked to ensure that in the coming years, the necessary processes are duly followed. They should apply for the visas early so that they will get their visas to be able to travel. If not, without the visas, the task force could not do anything about this. This explanation was taken by the programs, by the people who were unable to embark on this year's pilgrimage. And so things were resolved and understanding was reached. Let's take a listen to what the head of operations of the Hajj task force has been saying.
When we started with the first flight, there were initial difficulties, but we were able to surmount them. And eventually, despite all the delays and the challenges, the aircraft with 425 pilgrims left here and landed safely in Medina. That was the beginning. And since then, we've never looked back. Everything has gone much more than the first. And it keeps improving by the day. Tonight, like you can see, I don't expect us to have any problem. In any 20 minutes or so from now, the aircraft will be landing. Don't forget, this morning, one took off, the safe flight. Another is landing any moment from now to completely seal the northern sector aspect of the Hajj 2025. To get on board, you need to have a valid passport and a visa. Unfortunately, there have been difficulties with getting enough of the visas. But everybody who has gotten a visa is definitely going to travel. If you've not been able to get your visa, maybe due to other reasons, maybe you paid late, or you paid and then there was some miscommunication with the task force and subsequently the Saudi embassy. Therefore, you haven't been able to get your visa.
Well, you had there the head of operations of Task Force Ambassador, Lieutenant Colonel Alhaji Umar Sanda Ahmed. Of course, earlier we have been speaking to my colleague Christopher Marco, engaging us from Tamale in the northern region. And before we go, it's been 2 months already since President John Dramani Mahama visited communities in Ketu South suffering from the ravages of tidal waves and promised to ensure the completion of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project to end the recurring disaster. But with what appears to be a forever silence on the part of government over the last 8 weeks, residents in the affected communities are appealing to the president not to renege on his promise as the situation gets worse. There's more in this report by Faisal Abdul Idris.
President Mahama on March 6, 2025 paid a working visit to the affected communities to observe for himself the extent of havoc caused by the recurring tidal wave incidents in the area. The president on his visit promised to ensure the completion of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project to protect communities along the coastline, particularly Salakope, Amutinu and Agaveji, whose residents have been rendered homeless.
So I'm going to ask the finance minister to include funding to start phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project.
The president's promise did not only excite the residents but also rekindle the hope of the victims. But several weeks after, residents say they are worried over government's seeming silence over the issue. The president heard our persistent cries and visited the communities with a high-powered delegation. He gave us hope and assurance that he will commence the Sea Defense Project to protect us. But since then till now, we haven't really heard anything. Things have become even worse. We are here hoping that something will start on the ground soon. But we are not seeing anything. In the last few weeks, things have become worse, with several other residents displaced.
The only thing that came to light is the 200 million Ghana cedis that was captured in the budget. Even that, we do not know what that money was meant for. From then to now, there hasn't been any explanation. The silence is deafening. We need.
Well, that was a report there by Beatrice Adu Idris. And that's how we end the midday news right here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you this afternoon. Do stay tuned. Business News is up next.
FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station. FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Been a journey of Pan-Africanism and consciousness. It is your regular taxi driver with the urban blend and 3FM 92.7 in living stereo every day, Monday to Friday from 12:30 p.m. till 3 p.m. This is the show everybody listens to, so your business will certainly do well here. My name, Black Rasta. I am the rootical, hairtical, Don Gargan, Mua Fire, come forward. Atinga ya chika fankare, Azure ya chika fankare, Abama ta chika fankare.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Obudu. Coming up, fuel prices in Ghana experience sixth consecutive drop at the pumps. Also, exporters pledge significant cargo volume for revived national airline.
The issue here is for us to be able to consolidate. So once the Ghana National Airline is live, then what is going to happen to our members, we're going to consolidate as faith to make sure that we feed with the necessary volumes we are looking for.
Plus, Ghana and Rwanda join forces to tackle cross-border payment challenges.
The nature of the development on the global scene, as well as here in Africa, requires that we collaborate. And that collaboration is already happening.
These and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay. Thank you so much for your time. Now, in a significant move towards fostering seamless trade and economic growth across Africa, the Bank of Ghana and the National Bank of Rwanda are collaborating on an initiative to streamline cross-border payments. This joint effort, supported by the Global Financial Innovation Network, aims to address the persistent difficulties faced by individuals and small businesses in sending and receiving money across African borders. Head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Kwame Opong, highlighted the collaborative nature of this endeavor, emphasizing the recognition among regulators that a unified approach is crucial to navigate the evolving global and African financial landscape.
Something is happening very differently. Regulators have come to terms with the fact that the nature of the development on the global scene, as well as here in Africa, requires that we collaborate. And that collaboration is already happening. Reference was made to our partnership and collaboration with the Rwanda Central Bank, for instance, where we're exploring licensed passporting as well as cross-border payments. And in fact, Ghana is leading in mobilizing, together with Rwanda, an initiative with GFTN and PAPS, an initiative to bring central banks together so we can test and learn on how we actually achieve things like cross-border payments, so that MSMEs and individuals on the continent can actually send and receive money among themselves.
You heard the head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Kwame Opong, speaking. Now to our top story. For the 6th consecutive pricing window, fuel prices in Ghana are on a downward trend, bringing the much-needed relief to consumers. Starting today, the second pricing window of May 2025 sees some oil marketing companies reducing their prices by an average of 8%. This report has more.
This significant decrease means that some fuel stations are now quoting notably lower prices at the pumps. Petrol is being sold for approximately 12 cedis 57 pesos per litre, while diesel is going for around 13 cedis 49 pesos. RON 95, another type of petrol, is priced at about 14 cedis 89 pesos at some stations. Other OMCs are selling petrol at 13 cedis 32 pesos, diesel at 13 cedis 91 pesos, while RON 95 goes for 15 cedis 19 pesos. This consistent drop in fuel prices over several weeks offers a positive development for operators, businesses, and individual vehicle owners, potentially easing transportation costs and overall expenditure. It remains to be seen how long this downward trend will continue and the full impact it will have on the cost of goods and services in the country.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report announcing the 6th consecutive time fuel prices are dropping at the pumps in the country. Now, the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters, FAGE, says it can guarantee more than 1,500 metric tons of cargo on a monthly basis if the government's plan to re-establish a national airline materializes. A 10-member task force has been inaugurated to begin work on reviving the country's defunct national carrier. The newly formed task force has been tasked with developing a viable business model and operational framework for the proposed airline. Since the collapse of Ghana Airways in the early 2000s, successive governments have made several attempts to establish a reliable home-based carrier to serve regional and international routes. Exporters say the return of a national airline would be a game changer and have pledged to support its sustainability through cargo volumes.
The issue here is for us to be able to consolidate. So once the Ghana National Airline is live, then what is going to happen in our members, we're going to consolidate this as faith to make sure that we feed you with the necessary volumes we are looking for. So who knows? We could hit 300-400 metric tons a week. Because yam alone, we are the leading exporters of yam. And if I tell you the volumes of yams that leaves the shores of this country every week, you have no idea.
The president of the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters, Davis Kobo, welcomed the government's renewed commitment to the export sector and described the move as critical to boosting foreign exchange earnings and revitalizing the economy.
We are going to have what we call Ghana Horticulture Expo 2025 from 11th June to 13th. And the president has been kind enough to say that, look, I want to be there. I want to be there for the opening ceremony and to make sure that I get all my ministers around. That alone is.
And Heather Davis Kobo, he is the president of the Federation of Association of Ghanaian Exporters, FAGE, speaking there. Meanwhile, the chief executive officer of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Francis Kojo Kwarteng Arthur, says the establishment of a national carrier would significantly boost exports by providing critical infrastructure and offering competitive freight rates.
It is a game changer. It was very refreshing to know that actually a board committee has been set up to look into, to facilitate the establishment of that. Indeed, if we have a national carrier, we can always go to them, have negotiations with them in terms of carrying our goods. It also depends on the route of the airline. Currently, what I am doing with my deputy CEOs and the directors is we have scheduled meetings with some airlines, like for instance Kenya Airlines and South African Airlines. We're speaking to them to see how they can assist us in freighting the things directly from Accra to Kotoka at a very subsidized rate. So that is ongoing.
So that was the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Francis Kojo Kwarteng Arthur, speaking there, bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website, it's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe, and Urban Blend continues. Do stay tuned.